See,
It was $20 on clearance.
seriously,
Yep.
at work.
Yep.
Hmm.
Heck yeah. So, I suppose we should introduce ourselves.
Oh, yeah,
I don't know. Do they really care out there?
probably not.
Probably not. Anyway. Hello, welcome to the Reloading Podcast here on the Firearms Radio Network. Well, Sharenda, what you been up to?
Work, bullying the old man in physical therapy. I have a lot of volunteer time coming up. I don't know how that managed to happen. So, end of the month, I'm gonna be volunteering out at the Department of Kansas Parks and Wildlife at a women's weekend.
Because
Got
you
a
love
fly
helping
fishing
people.
clinic coming up. Yep.
Are you
Boys,
teaching fly fishing?
no, I'm just going to be there just to be supportive.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, we have a professional teaching fly fishing, and there was something else coming up. Oh, Boy Scout troop asked me to go. If I wanted, well, they said they would like to have me be a merit badge counselor
Sweet.
to help out with some of their stuff, which I thought was pretty cool. So I'm gonna look into that and see what's going on. But they're donating Wilderness a trailer.
Oh, wow. That's awesome.
Young lady, I think I mentioned this a few months ago. A young lady's working on her Eagle Scout project.
Nice.
And she wanted to build us a trailer to haul all of our equipment in. And she had so many people. Somebody just out the blue donated a trailer to her that she had to rehab, which was pretty cool. And we went and looked at it this weekend.
Yeah.
Super impressed, super pleased. All kid rehabbed. And I'm just thankful for the Girl Scouts, and I mean not Girl Scouts, the Boy Scouts and Eagle Scouts, and
right. Yeah, it's one of those things that when you at first, I'm like, oh, that's right. They allow everybody in now.
Mm-hmm.
So,
which I can understand why after comparing the two.
Right.
I would want to be a Boy Scout too.
Exactly. Well, it's like my kids, they were in Cub Scouts until they found out how cool 4-H was. And then they're like, peace. So,
yeah,
it's always something better. But yeah, it's cool. So,
yeah. Got a lot of stuff coming up. I'll just share it as they come up because I honestly couldn't even tell y'all without looking at my calendar.
You need a calendar for your calendar.
I need a mini preteen assistant to fill in my calendar.
So why don't you teach the old man how to do it?
Because the old man only has one arm and one leg that works. Yeah, I don't think I mentioned y'all. He's half paralyzed. Yeah.
Yeah. No, you did.
Yeah. It's actually I was really pleased with his physical therapy.
That's good to hear.
He can do more than he thought that he could do.
Yeah.
So and I have to be there during it, and makes you have a new appreciation of how the staff works. Other people that have actual disabilities are being rehabbed. It just makes me want to go help and push all the people and finding myself cheering. You can't do one more? I don't even know these people. I'm cheering.
That's awesome. That is pretty cool.
So what's going on with you other than the rest of the Goon Squad has left us solo?
I know. They all abandoned us. Well, Paul and Jim have really good reasons. Nick's just a slacker.
Yeah.
I'm not sure about Ray. I didn't get a chance to message him. So I went to NRA annual meetings, met up with Thomas Peterson. We had a blast. We wandered around, looked at a bunch of stuff. Shot some live videos that I posted directly to our Facebook group. Excuse me. I did buy a ticket for the Wall of Guns for $20. I don't expect that I have won anything because they haven't contacted me. So, there was some cool stuff out there. Excuse me. I think the absolute coolest thing that I saw, and I don't know if it's legal or not. They say it is, but I don't know. So it's Infinite Product It is a open-ended device that you screw on to the end of your barrel. And from what it seems like to me, is if it is legal, which it entirely possibly could be. I don't know what the NFA defines silencers and suppressors at. So, but essentially what it does, like a muzzle brake redirects the noise back towards you. This is basically a cone that directs the sounds downrange. So, therefore, theoretically making your firearm hearing safe.
Really?
They've got a whole bunch of different options for a whole bunch of different thread patterns and everything. Really cool stuff. So I found a company that I might use to. I got to find out more about them and stuff, but the pricing is really good. So we might take another shot at making hats for sale for the Reloading podcast. So it'd have the logo on it and that type of thing. Travis was dealing with a company, but they got shady. And honestly, the couple samples they made for us weren't the best.
Mm-hmm.
So we kind of tabled that. But I found this company. One thing for all of you white label armory fans, they are now known as Outer Wild Outpost. And specifically Outer Wild Manufacturing. So I actually bought a BCG finally. So now I got to get a carry handle because I forgot to get that, or a charging handle. So, but yeah, they wanted and the main reason for the rebranding is kind of the same reason that I thought when I first heard about it. White label armory. So, but I did tell them that there are fans from the podcast that love their stuff, and that's kind of why I was buying it. So that was one of the nice things about the NRA show is there's a lot of companies that do a lot of show specials. So like I spent $60 on that BCG. I don't know what regular retail is. I haven't looked, but I grabbed a Starline product guide. Lists all their current cartridges they make brass for, not necessarily what they have in stock. So I stopped by Lapua, and that is the correct way to pronounce it. So I
How you
finally
got it from them?
Yep, I asked them. I'm like, so what is the correct way?
Gosh,
And it is Lapua.
you should have videoed that.
So I talked to the people that were rocking the booth, and they are going to work on getting a couple of people to come on. Probably one for Lapua, one for Bullet Company, and one for Vitivori. And possibly, if his schedule allows, Eric Cortina. So that'd be kind of cool. Obviously, if we can swing that out, I'll let everybody know as much in advance as possible. Talk to Forster. We're going to work on getting a factory tour for Forster. So if you didn't see the video of Forster, you've got to check it out. I'm sorry for the shakiness, guys. I don't have Parkinson's or anything like that. I'm just a putz. So, and unfortunately, for as fancy as this silly camera is, or this silly phone is, it doesn't have any sort of stabilizing ability for videos that I found. So sorry for the shakiness. Let's see. Oh, I stopped by Project Appleseed. Said hi to the gang there. Just caught up with some friends there. So Promotional Images is the company that I'm going to talk to about possibly getting some hats made.
Cool.
So let's see here. I stopped and talked to the guys at Ammo Up. That is the company that makes all little brass picker-uppers. So I am going to work on getting them on to do a demonstration. So they make all these little products that you can use at the range to pick up your brass, whether, it's a small, like you're at the public range and you just want to quick police your brass, or if you've got your own personal range and you want to pick up a lot of brass, or you're at a public range and nobody else cares and then you want to pick up a lot of brass and you're going to be able to. It's pretty cool stuff. And all of it's got the ability to, once you pick it up, dump it into something, whether it's self-contained or not. So that was cool. I stopped by and talked to Anderson Manufacturing. Thomas and I did. Thomas and I stopped to and talked to pretty much everybody that we on the list here. I didn't really stop and talk to anybody on. I stopped Lapua on Sunday, but otherwise most of it was Saturday. Talked to Anderson, and we're going to look at getting them on to talk about the firearms manufacturing end of it. Kind of some of their stuff, what they do, and plus we're going to beat them up about the bolt action that they're making. So yeah, so that's kind of that. So talked about all that. I did find a cool thing that I didn't post a picture of, and that is this company called Glitter Guns. Yeah, I posted the picture of the high points. Get over it. What Glitter Guns is it's kind of like that, but they, the one that I was interested in is they actually have a Holstein camouflage pattern for the lower, and then the slide's black with a little bit of glitter on it. And it's awesome, and I want one. So I checked, stopped by there too. Plus, they had a gun given away. There's a couple other companies that had gun giveaways too. So maybe I'll win something, maybe I won't. I don't know. Be cool. Cool if it did. But yeah, a lot of the companies either do a gun giveaway. Browning was giving away $500 in ammo. There was Global Ordnance that was giving away $10,000 in ammo. So we'll see. Who is calling me during the podcast? Potential spam. You can click off. Bastards. That's right. Sparkle guns for the Creedmoor. Arc. 6 Arc. Let's see here. Is it on the list? Nope. It is not. We've got 243, 6 Creeds, large and small, 6 Grendel, 6.5 Creed, large and small, 260 Rem, 277 Wolverine, 6.8 SPC, and then 270. No 6 Arc. Sorry. And the person that was at the booth was just a booth ambassador, shall we say. So. Andy, I love you, but not that much. Sorry, we're not kissing. Anyway, so that kind of sums up most of NRA. I found a cool patch that I'm giving my mom. It was from Savior Equipment. It might be French and it might be Savoie. I don't know. I don't think it is, but I think it's Savior. But it's a tactical sewing machine. I'll take it out of the plastic. So.
What was the name again?
It was Savior Equipment. So they had a huge booth. They make a lot of like standard kind of soft side hard cases. One of the other things that they really make that's cool and neat is they make like throwback to the old Tommy gun stuff. So they make like machine gun or cases for like your Tommy guns, ARs for like violin cases, guitar cases. So that's kind of cool. I don't know what else that they had that you could get. So, but that was the ones that they had on display were for like guitar and for ARs and then that type of thing. So that was that cool stuff. But and then I stopped by and saw Mr. Brian Nixon, and so I got one of these. Ding, 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 ding. Yes, that spring is really that stiff. I stuffed it in my press and could get it to compress about a third of the travel. So you do need an arbor press. This is the large primer cup. You use, I've got it written down because I wasn't going to remember. But you can tell it's kind of thin because that slit is where you put the rough flashing. 17 thousandths roof flashing is what you use in there. And then you need an arbor press to smush it down, and away you go. So I got that. That's cool. And then he gave me one of his Glock triggers to try out in my make it yourself staple gun. So this one's kind of a cool color. And then it's got so that'll be fun. And that's about it. Drove back on Sunday into some snow that didn't stick. And then on Monday, we actually got, what was it? Like 3 inches. That stuck to the grass, but not to the pavement. So, hi, Sal. So, he's the one that said hi, and he's unnamed. So, anyway, trying to think. Looked at the new Henry revolvers. They're actually really well built. So they're really nice, good quality, good fit and finish. Trigger's decent. So, but I think that's the only real new firearm that people wanted me to go look at. So, I did take a picture through the Hollow Sun thermo optic that you guys didn't get a chance to at shot. So I did get a picture and posted that in the group. So shot shell loading. So first and foremost, I'm gonna try and get my bag open here without having to rip it open, but I don't think that's gonna happen because I ran out of patience. So now I'm going to grab a handy dandy knife. Which is obviously dull because it's a cheap store-bought. Oh, it's a Smith & Wesson. How about that? Well, buy a cheap knife, figure out how to try to sharpen it. So anyway. So what I got in here is I've got some double A's and some STSs, or some Nitros 27s, I should say. Is this knife sharper? Here. Oh. Oh, probably not. Something else. Good grief. See, I have a really nice Noble knife that I got from Jared Noble, who makes knives. He's one of the We Like Shooting guys, or well, not one of the guys, but one of the members of the cantina. But I don't know where it went. So I don't know if my kid hijacked it or not. So now I'm stuck with a dull knife. Anyway, and what happens when you have a dull knife, kids? Sharonda?
You end up stabbing yourself in the hand trying to use it.
Correct. So we find a different way to do it, don't we? So we don't stabby. So anyway, so what I'm doing is I am cutting apart, or at least attempting to cut apart, this STS. Crikey, I should have just grabbed my freaking Dremel. Been quicker. Anyway, okay. So let me see if I can just peel it back. Yes, as everybody in the chat agrees, dull knives are dangerous. Meanwhile, my lab wants to know what the hell I'm doing up here.
You do realize if you injure yourself, your wife's probably going to put you on punishment for a couple of weeks.
Yep. Why do you think I put the knife away and grabbed the saw blade? A lot harder to hurt myself with the saw blade. Not impossible. Yeah, Craig's got it right. Not thief proof, just mic proof. Okay. So this is the STS, and as you can see, the whole side goes all the way down into the cup, and you can see the little primer in there. Okay. So when we were talking about one piece and two piece, so this is a double A. And as you can see, I've got this cut away, but there's still a piece here. So they've got this outer part here, and then they have this inner cup that they press in. And you can't see that because it's dark as snot. Can you see now? So, okay. So now you can kind of see. Wow. I have no talent. Okay. So now you can see down in there, and you can see the primer. And you can see how the primer cup looks a little different here. So primer pocket, essentially. So that's what we were talking about by one piece and two piece hull. And kind of wanted to just show that. The reason for that is theoretically the two piece hull gives you a little better, at least in the double A's thought process. It gives you a little better strength. All right. Ooh. So see this? That's what happens when you have a shotgun with a bad extractor or a really tight chamber. It literally ripped the shell of the hull apart trying to get it out of the gun.
Wow.
Yeah. So I've seen a few of those in my time. Never any of my guns, because I take care of mine. So, but I wanted to show what this thing does. So, what we were talking about is it resizes the base. So, this part here, stick it in there. And this is going to be a little more challenging because the idea is normally this thing is screwed down. But you press it like this and all the force down. And then what it does is it resizes. So, if you look at these two side by side, you can kind of see that the one's a little shinier than the other, and it's also a little wider now. The lip is. So, because it squeezes the brass back. So, and that's all it does is it literally just squeezes the brass and resizes it. So that way you can carry on. So, Shrenda, what the heck are you doing?
Oh, sorry. I'm taking notes.
Okay. All right. That's good. So the only thing I want to kind of show you before we wander over to the shot shell press. So the one on the left, or the Remington, which is the green one, is a factory load. The one on the AA, which is the gray one, is one of our loads when I was first setting it up. And normally what I do is to take it apart. But if you look, you'll notice how the AA is domed out. And so what that is that is too much shot, or your shot cup's not set down far enough. Which means your wad's not set right. Your crimp should be like this. So it should be, flat across, not domed up. But like I said, normally I take these back apart. Basically what you do is you just take a little pick and you pick the pedals open, and then you can pull the wad. Usually the wad's junk because you wind up ripping it apart, pulling it out, and then dump your powder and start over. Kind of like, pulling a bullet on brass. So, but, so now I am going to get rid of that. And give me a second here. To get this set up here. I don't want to visit in Chrome, but I guess I have to. So, anyway. Okay. All right. So is that better? No more echo? Or am I still you still getting an echo, Sharenda? Okay, good. All right. So hi, Ollie. this is called. Let's see how far we can stretch it. So I'm just going to load 3. I've got 3 hulls here. I've got wads right here, the correct wads. This is a Mech 600 Junior. There's no sticker, but that's because it's older. And also I cleaned it up a bit. Sometimes you wind up painting them, sometimes not. And let me do this so you can all see my mess. And then see this. Okay, so powder, shot. Nice thing about Mech, you can fill it through the top. Other nice thing about Mech is as long as this bar is over on the powder side, you can actually tip this whole thing back and then do it slowly so the shot shifts slowly. And then what you can do is you can actually unscrew your bottles, and then when you're done. So Mech also makes a fancy bottle holder. Now, this does not have a standard charge bar on it. This has got, the company went out of business, and I wish they wouldn't have, because they're actually a nice bar. But it's Multi-Scale Charge Limited. They were a Canadian company. So here is what an actual Mech charge bar looks like. This one's kind of a little beat up. And this is a 20 gauge. But on the one end, it'll be stamped with what the shot charge is. And then what they have is bushings you can change out for powder. This little screw here is that screw there. So I have more charge bars. I just don't know where the heck they are, because when I bought that, I stopped with the charge bar. Okay, so now what is it looking at?
You're crooked. I mean, you're
Oh yeah,
horizontal. Yeah.
I'm like, what the heck? Whee.
Now you're upside down.
Yep. That's the only problem with using StreamYard for this, is you can't get the camera to rotate like it should.
Okay. Now you're good.
That makes more sense. Okay. So can everybody kind of see?
Eh,
That better?
it's a little bit better.
Okay. I don't have a zoom because it's StreamYard, but so basically how this works is it is a single stage, but it's a 5-station press. Okay. Right in here is where you can adjust your wad depth setting, is what I was talking about. So turn that. Damn, I wish I could zoom in. So, but right here is your wad depth setting, so you can set that. Right here is your decapping, your priming, your powder charge, and then your wad, and then your shot, your pre-crimp, and your final crimp. So, and then this little thing here is a primer feeder. So you start with the hull over here on your decapping station, and normally it would resize to. However, because I already sized these, it's not going to. What the heck is going on here? Yeah, fun. So in the taking the cover off, I knocked this loose. So there was a primer floating around in there. We don't want to pop a 209 primer. That's kind of loud. So now what I will do is I will take my deprimed hull. I'll put it there. This comes down, primes the hull. What this is this is, it's not, this one's not going to come apart. There we go. That's why it didn't come apart. So basically there's a essentially like a punch built into the middle, a spring, and then um, basically a bushing that gets pushed down. Yes, I will be soaking that and cleaning it up so it's better. What you want to do is set your stuff off to the side so you don't mix them up. So take my hull, and then so the problem I have right now is in order for this to function the way it's supposed to, it should be on the shot side, because then I slap it back and it drops down into the charge bar. However, it's not. So what I have to do then is bring it down a little bit. So you take this feed tube right here and actually put it in the hull. And then you're going to slide the charge bar over, bring it up. And actually good. There was a powder charge in there. Yes. So I didn't lose the powder charge when I was flipping it up and down. Sometimes you do. So it's double check. Hey, let me get a lighter and check this.
Did you not learn anything from your last fire powder check?
Kidding. So now I know there's powder in there. So if you'll notice, this is now sitting lower than it was before. So what that's for is that so I can take and slide my wad in like this, and you just set it on there. There's little fingers in here. It's not going to come apart easily. But there's little fingers in here that it sits in. And so I'll bring it down. And you don't want to push hard on this, but you want to go till it stops. And then you slap the charge bar back, slowly bring it up. And then you'll notice this move back up. And then you'll notice we now have shot. Can you see that? Can you see the shot in the hull?
I was saying yes, you just couldn't hear me on mute.
Okay. All right, so now slide it over to your pre-crimp. Bring it down. And it starts to fold it in. And then you bring it to your final crimp. Bring it back up. And voila. So normally what it should do, and it looks like it's not playing nice, but what it should have done when I did, after I did the partial crimp and the full crimp, is it should have fed another primer in here. Luckily I've got one laying around, so that works out nice. So this usually kind of floats, but if it's too bad, then check and see, because if it's not set right, then it can cause it can cause, just like if you don't have your decapping pin set right, it won't decap it. So, and when you get into a rhythm, you can actually go pretty decent. Now, granted, normally when I'm doing this, it's facing me, so, but that's crimp number 2. Now, see, that one's a little goofier. If you noticed, I had a little problem pressing on it. So, I'll fix that later. Anyway, so and there is a little tin you got there. Otherwise, you can put like a acro bin there to catch the primers as they come out. So. And you'll get, when you get into a rhythm, sometimes you'll get stupid and you'll try to grab it after the powder because you're so used to moving it. So you gotta think about that. So if you start to kind of feel a little bit dumb, make sure you stop and take a breath. So, and then that one is weird again. So, I mean, these are different holes. These aren't my normal holes, but what I would do then is I would tear this apart and check to see why it's crimping like that, because it shouldn't. So, and well, it appears the reason it's not crimping like that is because the star fell out somewhere along the lines. So that's why it's crimping like that, because it doesn't have the nice star like it should. So I'll have to figure out where the hell that went. Anyway, so this over here, this is a 366. So I don't think my mic cord's going to reach. We'll see. This one is a Pacific, but it's now made by Hornaday because Hornaday bought out Pacific. So basically everything Pacific became Hornaday. This one works a little different. So this is a progressive. So you can actually load more than one shell at a time. So you start here and it decaps. And you actually have a separate decapping station if you want to. So you can decap here or you can decap here. Then your primer. Basically, this does a half turn. And then you push the lever up, or you do that, and it does the primer. Or no, never mind. I don't know what the hell that's for. So, that's the primer feed. Never mind. It's been a while, and I wasn't paying attention when I was playing with it. So give me a minute here. Okay, so in here, deprime it as you're bringing it up. It pushes a primer in here as the plate rotates. Primer drops down, hull comes over, come down, seats your primer. Then next, full rotation over here, get your powder charge. Next full rotation over here, get your wad. Next full rotation back to here, get your shot. Next rotation here is your pre-crimp. And then your final crimp. And then it drops it out the bottom. Right there. So, and that's one trip around. So decap, prime, powder, wad, shot, pre-crimp, crimp, and eject. So there's this charge bar goes back and forth. It also has it also has a shut off for each, so you can shut the powder off and the shot off separately. That didn't work out like I planned. Good grief. So I know shotshell isn't the bailiwick for a lot of people that watch and listen to the podcast. So We're not going to go into it too deep, just covering the basics. If you want to know more, I'm willing to help out. Give more information as necessary and needed. So, but that's kind of the basics of shotshell. Now, as I was explaining last week, the big thing with shotshell that's different is that the recipe design is different. So it's not just figure out what cartridge, it's not just figure out it's 12 gauge and away you go. You got to come up with what hull you're going to use. And then once you figure that out, then what powder you're going to use, and then what primer you're going to use. And you got to get your right wad for it, because there's a specific wad for each type of hull. And then what weight your shot's going to be, because your shot cup on your wads, this part right here, is either designed to hold different weights depending on what shot charge you want to do. So this kind of gives you a better look at, Paul was kind of showing it last week, but this gives you a better look at, let's switch cameras here. So this gives you a better look as soon as I bring it online. Dumbass. Of that crumple zones that I was talking about. So you can kind of see, and then so the outside's got crumple zones, but so does the inside. And so this actually smashes or compresses and then expands again. So, and then here's your little spot that the powder kind of sits, it kind of goes over the powder. So like that. But that's kind of that. Anybody in the chat have any questions? Anything that you that you saw and you're like, Mike, you're a moron? Besides my lovely trip with powder and.
What the hell is that you drinking?
Jim Beam Kentucky Coolers lemonade sweet tea.
Okay, I was just making sure it wasn't a White Claw.
No. So. Oh, we have a new show mascot. It's a duck, but it's a fox. So it's a fox duck. And what is that shortened to, kids? So that is the new mascot. So
it rhymes with duck.
That's right. It starts with an F. So but yeah, I mean, so that's kind of the basics of shotshell. I wanted to actually show this in operation, the resizer, because it is an important thing. Excuse me. What's a reliable source of 410 hulls? I'm not sure. I've not started looking at, because I haven't gotten my conversion kit. The 20 gauge press that's up on top of the safe back there is actually going to get converted to 410, because I have another 20 gauge out in the garage that's in a little the operation of is in a little better shape. So so I'm not sure, honestly. When I figure it out, David, I will happily let you know. Maybe somebody else out there knows. But yeah, definitely want to get into loading 410. Especially now that I have my dad's side by side. So, but I also want to load 2.5 inch for my lever gun. That's right. I have a lever operated 410. 6-pack project just said not to mention half the wad options listed for a hull are really bad options. Taper hull wads and loads for straight hulls. Yeah. So, the powder I'm using in that is green dot. So, I when the boys were shooting 20 gauge, um, I was actually using unique. So, and then when they switched to 12, I switched to green dot. I played around with a couple other ones. I don't remember off the top of my head. I want to say I tried clays and universal, but I found that I had the best results with that setup with green dot. So, and I was able to get a crap ton of green dot at the time when I couldn't get clays. Now I've got a jug of clays up there now that I can play with. So, but 6-pack project said BPI Cheddite hulls work well for 410. So, yeah. So, yeah, green dot's a pretty popular one. Sorry if I'm making mic noises. Trying to think. Those are all Winchester primers. So I try either Winchester 209s or CCIs. I've found that they're the most consistent in that load. Pre-COVID, when you could just walk in and get a pack of 209s, you could do a lot of playing around. Now you're going to wind up more basing your loads off of what primers you can find, honestly. So, 700X is one of the ones that I tried. Thanks, Aaron Schmitz. He said he uses 700X and red dot. So red dot's a little hotter powder. When I was loading up some, turkey loads, I was using red dot because it gets you a little more velocity out of it, got a little more oomph. So you can put a little bigger payload behind it. At least my personal opinion. So, David Campbell, maybe 6-pack project can answer that question for us because I have never had the privilege of using Cheddite primers. Like I said, I've sitting on a crap ton of Winchester 209, so I don't need to worry about it. But if I do run out of those, I got CCIs. So, that was one of the things I made sure I stocked up on was shot shell primers. Once the boys started getting into shooting, I literally bought 5,000 209 Winchester 209s. So, Aaron Schmidt said he uses long shot for game loads. So, I'd imagine you're probably using the red dot for like a handicap load then, Aaron? Maybe? Or does it depend on the hull you're using? So, oh, by the way, this is episode 445. Episode 450 will be a live call-in show. Wait, what? What did he just say? Yeah. We're going to have a phone number, and we're going to post it in advance, and we're going to have you people be able to call in and talk live on the air. So, we wanted to do something kind of special for episode 450. So yes, we're going to have a live call-in show.
Can I give you a list of people to not let on the show?
For certain amounts of money.
Oh, okay. Well, I think you automatically are going to not let Paul out. And I'm just kidding, Paul, if you're out there. He's been kind of quiet if he is.
I don't think he's out there tonight. I haven't seen him. But David, did you see the answer on the Cheddite primers? 6-pack project said they're similar to Win 209. So, yeah, Aaron said that the red dot gets him a 1,300 feet per second load, which you want a little more speed when you're what we call a handicap load. So when you shoot trap, normal trap, you stand usually at 16 yards. And so that's from the front of the trap house, if I remember correctly. I don't know. It's been so long since I've cared. I just know it's 16, 17, yada, yada, all the way back to 27. So the farther you go back, the farther you have to shoot, and the farther that pigeon's getting away from you as you're shooting. So most shooters, not all, but most shooters that I've shot with don't shoot right off the house. And so what I mean for that is as soon as the pigeon clears the house, most people aren't shooting. So the farther back you get, that pigeon is getting even farther and farther away from you. So now your normal load and your normal shot isn't going to be able to necessarily perform the way that you want it to. It'll still perform the way it does. But the farther back you are, you need to get that shot there quicker because you're starting essentially handicapped because you're farther back. So six pack project said red dot is fast, typically for an economical 1 1/8, 1 1/4 load, runs higher on the passengers. Green dot is typical handicap load, and blue dot is a classic field load powder. So like for pheasants and stuff. So anyway, so
That's actually
yeah.
good to know.
So and there's a lot of information out there. And when you kind of you start learning and you start spending time around other people that are loading shot shell, you learn kind of where to start is a big thing because like we were saying, when you look at the side of this book, you see all the thin blue sections. That's everything but 12 gauge, or that's everything but lead shot. So the lead shot's the thickest. So excuse me. And out of that, trying to get that to, okay, out of that, that center section is all 12 gauge lead. So it is by far the biggest selection. So there's a crap ton of hulls, a crap ton of loads, target loads, field loads, ounce, ounce and an eighth, ounce and a quarter, ounce and 3/8, ounce and 5/8, ounce and a half, all these different loads that you can do. Um, and then like once you find a hull, so excuse me, for double A's, ounce and an eighth target loads. There's literally 2.5 pages of options. Depending on powder charge, primer, wad, what velocity you're looking for. So, there's all sorts of different things in there. So, I like to stick to, personally in mine, I'm like to stick to either the regular Winchester wads or the Claybusters version. I've had good luck with the Claybusters version. So, but yeah, you want to make sure that you're matching that. Make sure double check your data, just like you would for metallic reloading. Make sure that the wad that they're saying is supposed to be used is actually for a tapered hull. And if you're loading for a straight wall, make sure that the wad you're using is actually for a straight. So, especially that option. I mean, you can shove a tapered wad, or you can shove a straight wad down into a tapered hull. Is it going to, perform normally? No. Now, if you put a tapered hull down in a straight wall, you actually can get powder burning around it and really not have a good day. So, you know, not gonna get anywhere near what you want. So, it's kind of one of those important things, like not drinking until you're after done loading. So, but you know, and I'm just dipping my toes in. Salvatore Sincomani is the Reloading Room and the podcast group knows a lot. Leon Guthrie's in the podcast group, and then he's got his own pages. Check out his pages either on Facebook or he's got a couple on MeWe as well. If you need them, let me know and I'll get you in touch with them. Send an email, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com. There is a crap ton of knowledge in Leon's groups. So not just shot shell, but so Oder wants to know how many times can you reload the same shell? So you can't anneal a hull. So basically what you're going to be doing is you're inspecting the hull. The biggest breakdown is around the petals. It'll start to harden and crack. On the cheap hulls, 1 to 2. If you on some of your better quality ones, like the Nitro 27s or the STSs or the AAs or the Top Guns, 4 to 5. I've heard people getting 10 out of their AAs. So, but they're also running a lower load. Some of it's going to depend on how hot your load is. So that's kind of the thing. But what you're looking for is in the top here. You'll notice it'll crack. That's usually where your fail point is. Now, if you have a catastrophic failure, obviously it's going to blow it. The other thing is, and I've never seen it, I've always had them crack up here first, but this starts to loosen. So 6-pack project said 1 to forever. You know, I personally had 6 or 7 out of some of my AAs, because basically what I was doing for the boys is I would take a 100 wad lot or 100 hull lot, 100 for Eli, 100 for Elijah. They'd take them, shoot them, bring them back. I'd unload, I'd reload them again. I had out of those 100, I still have 92 left of Elijah's and 96 of Eli's. Eli had a ported barrel on his. So I don't know if that helped or not, but yeah. So, but both of them had 6 loadings on them. So, you know, and so there's still there's still a bunch of them that are going to get more loadings out of them. But yeah. Yeah, 1 to forever. 6-pack said smaller bores will chew up petals faster. Because it doesn't have as much room to open. So, Oder, you thinking about? You've been thinking about getting into shot shell loading this week? I don't know if you really have a call to do that out there, but you never know. So, yeah, 6-pack project said what I was trying to explain about the powder around the wad a lot more succinctly than I did, because he's a wordsmith and I'm not. Says because they will give you the low data for a straight wall with a tapered wad. The powder can migrate or above the seal of the wad on a straight wall. So what happens is instead of this sealing the powder in and then all of the energy from the powder pushing on this, you get it creeping around, and then it doesn't. Not only does it not give all your energy here, but it actually can affect the compressing of the wad like it's supposed to. So anyway, and or melt it and cause lots of problems. So typically you're not going to get melting of your wad because your wads are designed to handle the heat. Wads you cannot reuse. Well, I suppose technically you can. So, thanks for joining us, Outer. I know you did. I know you said shot shell wasn't necessarily your bailiwick last week, but appreciate it. So, anybody else in the chat got any more questions? Sharenda, you got any questions?
Do you remember what model my shotshell reloader is? I literally cannot find my manual.
It should be a 600. Should look like mine.
No, it's which version is yours? Junior?
Yeah, 600 Junior.
Okay.
It should. Where is it? Bring it closer.
These son of a guns are heavy.
Yeah, there. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Other materials for wads. So, as I was explaining, so this is a paper hull, and so that is a overshot card. It's paper, and then so you've got an overshot card, and then usually sometimes they'll put a wad underneath the overshot card depending on what type of charge they have or power or shot they have underneath it. And then you've got your shot, and then you've got a fiber wad that would go in here, and then you get your powder. So fiber wads they use a lot in black powder as well, because you'll drop your powder in, put a fiber wad in, and then put your shot in, and then put an overshot card. So black powder, you can also use plastic wads. So you just gotta get one that fits the barrel. So, because the barrel is a different size than the shot shell. That is correct. So, the type of crimp can affect the pattern. No. Well, I guess if it's a pour crimp, it can. Between shell to shell, like those three there, I'll probably tear apart because that's horrid. And I will probably actually just chuck those holes because that's probably smashed. I may shoot them for fun. I don't know. We'll see. But yeah, if you have an inconsistent crimp and from hole to hole, it can affect the pattern. Not a great deal, typically. So, but yeah, if you have like say, so there's a 6 and an 8 is your typicals. So when you look at this, you'll notice there's 8 points. 6 obviously has 6. If you try and crimp one with the other, they don't crimp right, and then they won't seal. And usually, what you'll get is you get some shot leaking. So, which isn't fun because you don't really notice it until you go to pull it out of your wherever you're storing it. Well, all of a sudden, it's a lot lighter. So, yeah, whether it's a good crimp or a bad crimp can definitely affect the pattern. Not to a great degree. Unless it's a crimp that hampers the shell opening. Like these here. Like this one here, probably not going to open very well. So that could affect the pattern because it's not going to be moving as it normally would. Versus the other two, which are actually a better crimp. They're still not good, but they're better. So, other questions? Anybody? Bueller, Sharenda?
Do you ever had any shots that got a little dirty?
What do you mean?
Like dropped in the mud or anything? When you do let them dry, just brush them off, or you just chuck them?
Brush them off. Wipe them off. We were out turkey hunting, and I dropped one of. I was going to load the shotgun, and so I reached into my vest and one of the shells got hung up on. I got like on your upland vests where you got the little uh, elastic sleeves you can put the shells in.
Yeah.
So I had it in there, and it got hung up and didn't come out like it was normally supposed to, and so I fumbled it right into a puddle. Um, Picked it up, wiped it off, and then killed a nice hen with that later. So about a half hour later.
I've never used those to hold my shells. I put string cheese in them, but I always
Well,
find
that's
myself rattling it in and out.
fantastic. Yes, yeah. The string cheese goes in a Ziploc baggie with the beef sticks.
Yeah, no, I slide them right there in them little shot holders. I mean, shot shell holder elastic thingies.
Yep. Ken Brown said, "Lick them off." Oh, Ken, by the way, look what I got.
What is that? Can you zoom in?
This is something that Thomas Peterson printed for Ken and I. It is a bottle funnel. It was on Thingiverse, and so it's a little funnel that goes like on your powder bottle.
Oh, cool.
Anyway, Oder wants to know, for the same gauge shotgun, does a number 2 versus number 5 versus slug affects the reloading potential of the shell? Slugs are gonna probably beat up typically you're not gonna fold over a slug. Typically you're not gonna have a slug like this. Typically a slug is either gonna have, for some strange reason, an overshot card, but it's definitely going to be a roll crimp versus a normal crimp. So and then between the number 2 and the number 5, potentially. So I mean, slugs are definitely going to beat up the hulls differently because of the way they come out, but also because you're going to roll crimp it versus. Now I do know people that have pedal crimped the Lee keyholes. So or the key slugs, whatever you want to call them. Lee makes a mold. It's a smooth bore slug that goes in. You could actually put them in wads like this. So, and I know people that have done that. I've never. Typically, if I'm going to load for slugs, I'm going to roll crimp it. I would have showed you roll crimping, but I can't fight it. Okay, so Zeke just said I had pretty good luck crimping the 7/8 ounce Lee key drive slugs, which is what I was just trying to say. So they're 7/8 ounce, but they take up a different volume, so you can actually put them in a regular wad. So Ken Brown wants to know. Let's see here. Any other questions? Okay, so Oder. First off, it wasn't a stupid question. It's a good question. Because it is a legit question. So typically your number 2s are going to wear a little faster than number 5. Just because of the amount of pressure that each load's going to generate. Not necessarily all the time, and not necessarily guaranteed. It's not a measurable thing, just personal experience. So, but like Six Pack said, potentially depending on volume needed in the case, number 2, number 5, and a slug all same weight, occupy different space. So, like I was saying. So, like I said, Zeke said he's had a pretty good luck crimping the 7/8. So, the Lee 7/8 is occupying all the space in a 1 1/8 ounce wad. The only reason you can crimp them is the size of the slug. So what he's saying is those 7/8 key drives are actually taking up the same amount of space as an 1 1/8 ounce of shot. So that allows you to pedal crimp versus roll crimping. Is pedal crimping even the correct term? I don't know. Anyway, Ken Brown wants to know, can you adjust accuracy with slugs like you do with rifle loads? That I am going to defer to people with more knowledge on loading slugs. So I don't know. Theoretically, with a smoothbore, I suppose you could. It'd probably be more practical with a sabot and a rifle barrel. Excuse me. Um, fold crimp is the correct term. Okay. Fold crimp and roll crimp, not pedal crimp. Six pack project, since you've been so helpful, can you? Oh my God, it's the first mosquito of the year. That's pissing me off. So, six pack project and Zeke, have you had any luck trying to dial in accuracy with slugs? More on like a smooth bore barrel than a rifled barrel, just out of curiosity. So I would suspect you can, because I've seen some of the groups in a couple of the groupings in a couple of the shotgun groups, and they've gotten pretty good at it. So, but the specifics of it, I'm not sure. But oh, I wanted to say, I finally mounted up that 300 barrel, and these things are nice. So this is that gas block genie. So how it works is you actually there's a little hole in here. Anyone make a good slug mold? You really got to get into the Russian stuff. So let me grab my phone. Allie, come here. Allie, you're a good boy. Yeah, good boy. There you go, baby. Poor Allie. He's been hiding over there because he was afraid of the tripod. Give me just a second here. There we go. So Buckin Slug Reloaders is his group on MeWe. Savrogs is one of the popular slugs. So if you go to BPI, they've got a couple of different, the Russian style slugs. So yeah, Ken, I actually moved some of it. Smart ass. So so Vemjum, six pack project said Lyman slugs uses regular wads. So Russian molds use special wads. Yeah. So so as I was mentioning on my little squirrel moment, the gas block genie, how this works is you take this little circle here, you put it over your gas port in your gas block, and then you put a line to the other end of the gas block, and then you slap it on your barrel, putting the circle over the gas port in the barrel, and then you draw a line, and away you go. It took me like 2-3 seconds. Well, not quite that quick, but it was not very long at all. So, and I did it with pencil, so then I can just rub it off and use gas block genie again. So yeah, it worked out pretty well. 2 thumbs up. So off to Ballistic Products Incorporated. Come on. Yay, phone's being a pain in the ass. Really? You suck. Anyway. There we go. Ballistic Products Incorporated. So, if you're looking for shot shell stuff, Ballistic Products Incorporated is a place to go. Really good. They got a lot of stuff. So, they actually sell slugs and slug molds. So, and sabots. So, and they still sell the good old fashioned Foster rifled slugs. So, which are these things right here. So, but oh heck, they actually sell the Hydroshock ones. Interesting. Anyway, so they've got the Lyman Foster slugs, the Sabot slugs, the round ball, the key drives, 7/8 and 1 ounce. And then so like this is kind of like the quote Russian slugs. You can kind of see they look a little different, and then they've got the wad actually on some of these you actually screw the wad into the slug, so it's kind of weird. But they've got those available. They come in different options too. So, but so that's kind of that. Yeah, you can cast your slugs just like you would regular projectiles. Okay. So Vemgem 6-pack set he uses is frog botfly slugs with a WAA 12 wad with the petals cut off the cup. So actually I think that's one of these. So basically just and there you go. 6-pack project, you don't attach it then, right? You just have it sitting there. But I don't think so. Ooh. All right. So, yeah. Anyway, so that kind of answers that. But yeah, I know people have got a lot of good luck with the Lymans too. So, but yeah, the Sevrog Blatflies is one of the big popular slugs to use. They're actually pretty nasty on game too. So people love using them on hogs and deer. So, and he said just sitting there, like I kind of thought. So, you can screw them to it, but it'd be kind of hard with the way this wad's set up because it's not really set up for that. You'd have to drill a hole in it first. So screw that. Anyway, a lot of extra work. But anyway, so I guess that kind of wraps it up for tonight. Sharenda, you got anything you want to shout out?
Not at the moment.
Okay. I just want to kind of shout out to Thomas for hanging out with me on Saturday. That was fun. So had a blast there at NRA. Want to give a shout out to Jake and Ryan over to Patriot Patch Company. PatriotPatch.co. Took myself out. Sweet. I took myself out instead of zooming in on me so I could show you this awesome patch of the month for April.
So, yeah, that patch was nice and it's huge.
Oh, yeah. Yep. I think I'm going to print a Claymore once I get my printer back up and running, just cause. But that means I got to get that OD green filament, which I don't have currently. Anyway, yeah, super shout out to Jake and Ryan for Patriot Patch Company for sponsoring us. Just awesome. So, if you've got old reloading equipment laying around and you don't know what to do with it, you don't know if it's any good or not, and you're just kind of looking to get rid of it, let me know. I'm starting to collect old reloading equipment, just kind of show off and that kind of thing. So, but seeing as how I am one of the poor's and I don't have a lot of money to spend on collecting, so just keep that in mind. But yeah, I'm just kind of looking, if I find stuff that's cheap picking up here and there, like I found that old Reading scale. I've got the old Herder scale somewhere around here. I've got a couple of old presses that I've picked up, a couple old shotshell presses. So, yeah, just kind of, doing that. But just a reminder, show 450 will be live, and we will, just like every show, but we will do a call in. So I will post the number the week before. Or, well, not the week before, a couple days before. So I'll announce when I'm going to post the number. And I'll post it in the usual sources. So if you want to get a hold of us, reloadingpodcast@gmail.com, 608-467-0308. You can send us a text or leave us a voicemail at that number. Otherwise, send us an email. We're on MeWe. We're on Facebook. We're on Discord, of course. We're on Instagram, somewhat. And we are on Signal still for now. I don't know how long, but we'll see. Not a lot of action going on there, and it looks like people are migrating back to MeWe, so I don't know. MeWe group's starting to get some more action again. So, but Discord is probably by far the biggest interaction besides Facebook. So, if you want to get the Discord link, just reach out to us. So, all right. And thanks everybody for tuning in. I know Shotshell's not the usual fare. We'll be back next week with some more normal metallic stuff. And on that note,
teach a lady to reload and then let her pinch off your stash just a little bit.
I would say keep your brass shiny, but we're talking about hulls, and you don't want to shine up your hulls unless you're Travis. Travis cleans his hulls. I don't know why, but he does. So
I'm not surprised.
Nope.
Travis likes everything shiny. And I thought I was the glitter queen.
Right? So make sure you're supporting your local Second Amendment groups. And as people are finding out all across the country, they don't really care about the Bruin decision. Their Congress critters and their politicians are still trying to just ram through as much gun control as they possibly can. I don't know if they're just hoping that at some point in time we're going to run out of money to haul them into court or what. I know they don't. I know the anti-gunners don't use logic when they're talking and thinking, so that's part of it. But yeah, make sure you're supporting Second Amendment organizations. Your choice on what. I support Second Amendment Foundation, and then and then my local state one. So also make sure you're emailing or calling your Congress critters and let them know what you think. So whether that's local or state or federal. So, and if you're struggling, 1-800-273-8255 or 988 on your cellular device. We need you here. We want you here. Reach out if you're struggling. Get some help. Good night, all.